We keep it real.
We keep it raw.
We keep it uncut.
All day.
We are
Marriage Takeover.
welcome.
What up?
To Kitchen Conversation.
What up? What up?
It's really dark.
I told you, it's hot. It's all right. Let it rock.
Welcome to Thursday night Kitchen Conversations.
It won't work if you turn it off.
Oh, you were supposed to go to your thing last today. Welcome to Kitchen Conversations.
Hello from SW, Florida.
Oh, Florida in the house.
Southwest Florida. Is that what that is?
Southwest. Hello from Southwest Florida.
Hey, welcome from Southwest Florida. Welcome to Kitchen Conversations. Go ahead and rep your city, rep your state. Let us know where you're checking in from.
Yo, welcome.
New York in the building.
I know. Welcome.
Someone said the kitchen lights are lit.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Someone else said thank you for the hospitality.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for showing up, representing. We appreciate you on this evening. Hey, take over. We're gonna go ahead and get started, baby. Hey. Take over. Welcome to Kitchen Conversations. It's your girl Tamika.
It's your boy E-Rocknell, aka Chef E-Rocknell in the building, in the house.
Listen, we keep it real.
We keep it raw.
We keep it uncut.
All day.
We are
Marriage Takeover.
We want to welcome you tonight to Kitchen Conversations, where we are every Thursday night, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yep.
And we just want to welcome y'all into the building. If this is your first time hearing about Marriage Takeover, trying to figure out who we are, what we do, listen, we've been married for 24 years now.
24
We have been kicking it, riding with each other. We were on the brink of divorce year 10 and 11. We were able to overcome that. And now we are helping other couples to win in their marriage by identifying their triggers and breaking generational cycles.
Yeah, buddy.
So before we hop in, I do want to invite you all. Make sure if you aren't already, go to renewmymarriage.com to join us for the last 2 days of our VIP of our Renew My Marriage Challenge. We are super excited about that. And it's been so good. So if y'all signed up and you didn't show up, listen, we got today and we got tomorrow, and then we got the replays. But it's been some good stuff. So welcome to Kitchen Conversations. What we gonna talk about today?
Hey, listen.
Excuse me, I see a whole lot of comments coming in, and I see a whole lot of hearts. Thank you guys so much.
So it says the kitchen is dope.
Thank you.
And congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So tonight we're just gonna be doing like a mini recap. So what's been good? Now I'm a caveat, you guys. So the football game is on. So we're not gonna be on here long tonight. The Steelers. Who is the Steelers?
Steelers and Browns.
Steelers and the Browns. So I'm rooting for the Steelers. Who you rooting for tonight? The Thursday night game. Who you got? You got the Steelers or you got the Browns? Let us know who you repping on tonight.
But hey, how many football fans are on the call tonight anyway? Let me see what's on there.
Right, so we won't be on here very long at all because
no, we are here for you. We just gonna make sure we speed it up.
Okay. So tonight on the menu, we gotta do what's on the menu tonight, baby. We got salmon.
We're having a I forgot. We have a salmon.
See, he trying to be fancy.
Over what you call it? Over a nice white sauce noodle.
Mm-hmm. See, you trying to be fancy. We having the salmon with noodles and a white wine sauce. And are you still doing spinach with it?
Yeah.
With spinach on top. That's what we having on tonight. So, welcome again. So what we talking about, babes? We got questions, comments.
Someone said they want to invite. They bringing corn on the cob and Pepsi.
What? Corn on the cob and Pepsi. Let's go. Corn on the cob. Now, do you add sugar to your corn or salt to your corn? We had this debate last week about grits. Do you have sugar or salt? So do you add salt to your corn or sugar? Somebody said I'm thinking something. Or
Where's that?
huh? You don't see that? It said
I'm kidding, be blessed.
Oh. Okay, got it. You can't be blessed. We were looking for the corn on the cob.
Someone said both.
Butter.
And someone else said butter. And someone said both.
Okay. Sweet. Listen, y'all had them grits last week tasting like kettle corn. But tonight we have we just having a conversation. Okay, you showing your salmon. So tonight we just having a conversation. So we covered Free and Key Restore earlier this week. And we're just talking about unlocking the Holy Spirit inside of your marriage. So everything that we do, everything we talk about is biblical. It's about marriages. It's about helping couples win. And we love it, y'all. Oh. And two, before I forget, the marriage retreat. Registration is open.
Yeah.
So if you go to marriagetakeover.com/retreats, the retreat is ready to rock and roll, you guys. The retreat is going to be February 24th through the 25th, and we are super duper excited about it. This is the first retreat that we are having in 2 years because of COVID. So we're really excited about it. So make sure that you go and you register. We would be happy to have you all, and we are excited about it. So go ahead and register. And we look forward to seeing you guys there. So we know you're not about to drink that. You about to put that into the wine?
No, I already poured it up.
Oh.
I already poured it up.
So we know he's not about to drink that. So.
Go ahead.
No, that was it. So Free and Key Restore.
Yeah.
And last week, y'all know Eric wasn't here. So I had to hold down the shrimp and the grits last week. So now he's back today. And then Free and Key Restore. So what does that look like inside of your marriage? What does it look like when you are, when it's not there? What does it look like? How does it look like? How do you survive without being able to keep some of those key components in the foundation of God and the principles inside of your marriage?
Hey, I'm asking one question.
Yes.
If there is one thing that you can walk away from tonight with what would it be?
Ooh, that's a good question. Oh, you really about to drink
I'm gonna
that?
give you time. What do you mean? I'm just taking a sip.
Mm.
I'm gonna give you time. If there's one thing that you can walk away from tonight with that will be a big help, a big encouragement, what would it be? Take your time. Type it on in there. What up, homie? How you feeling? You want to slide through?
Did he already tell you no? Why you play games?
I'm not for the gym.
Nobody?
Just one thing.
Well, babes.
Well, hey, because I tell you what, but that's good because the one thing is.
You need help with anything?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Something going on, baby.
Yeah, I know. The time.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to stay in my lane, y'all.
Go ahead, yeah. Oh, no, you're fine.
You're about to say something, baby.
Say what?
You're about to say something.
No, because I was saying if there was one thing, what would it be?
Right.
But
and nobody said anything.
Oh, okay. Oh well, then because
say something else.
I know we got a lot going on tonight as far as with the challenge. And so you go ahead, finish talking about the Cuban story. But let's talk about what we were talking about last night.
Ooh.
Far as when it came down, far as with the with communication and how that belief system kind of interrupts a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So
when it comes to your belief system and the different set of principles that you have, it's like your foundation of what you value, your foundation of what you think, your foundation of what you believe, your foundation of what you've experienced, right? And how you would have for your life and your makeup to be. So everything that you do around your belief system is how it shows up inside of your life, inside of your marriage, how you teach and interact with your children, how you show up on your job, how you are who you are. And one of the things that I've learned is that you can't be the best wife or the best husband until you first become the best version of yourself. So once you become that best version of yourself, it has to start with the process of number one, you uprooting your ish, of number two, you being able to fight through your BS. So one of the things we were talking about is the unforgiveness last night. And it was so good because sometimes what we do is we carry the unforgiveness of our family members sometimes without knowing it. So subconsciously, we can carry on some of the unforgiveness. I was sharing how
not just that family member, but carry on the unforgiveness of past relationships too.
Yeah, of past relationships. And so sometimes the static is coming inside of your current marriage because you can't let go of what that past was.
Right.
So one of the things we were sharing how in my family there was how you have clusters of different families, and there was one particular family where I remember being young and they were telling me that I couldn't go to their house, I couldn't eat their food, they were evil, they were this person. And it wasn't until my mom, I don't know what it was or how she set the record straight, but she started to go and to change the narrative before she passed away. And when she did that, it unlocked and bridged the gap, at least between our family and their family, because for the longest, I never knew why we weren't supposed to be around that family member, be around them, hang around them, not like interact with them, period. Because, we all a big family. Right. So you're carrying on what other people think and with the grudges and the different things that other family members and other people hold on to inside of your family. Right. And so my mother broke that generational cycle. Then I went to then go and mend that and continue that forward. And I finally asked when I went home in April this past year, I said, so can I just ask a question, like, why is it that everybody hated this particular family? Because now they're coming around more things, people are older, so things start to change. And I said, well, why was it? And all based on a lie that somebody was believing and carrying on to. Then you teach your children teach their children, and then the generational cycle continues. And the danger in that we were talking about last night is when you have that notion about a person or a character trait of somebody. So if it were, maybe it was a sorry man, maybe it was the way that certain women spoke or the way that certain women did certain things inside of your marriage, then what would happen is you would take that as a character flaw, and everything that you did after that, everything that it looked like, everything that appeared to be what that was, you would take that and anytime it showed up, so whether that be your in-laws, whether that be a friend of your husband or friend of your wife or whatever the case is, if it looked like that, if it had any type of similarities, then subconsciously you were carrying that unforgiveness inside of that relationship without realizing it.
Yeah. And it's so funny how a lot of the stuff itself begins to act out, and you really don't know, like, yo, how can I say it? For me, I did not recognize until I wanted to be better, because then I began to ask myself why.
Right.
And when I began to ask myself, why, that's when I begin to get to it. And then you find yourself asking questions that some people will be like, nah, I don't think you ready for the answer. My thing is, I would not have asked you if I wasn't ready for the answer.
But I will say some people really not ready for it sometimes when they ask that. That is true. It depends on what it is, but then you have to be very careful and very vulnerable when you're going inside those situations. Because the last thing that you want to do is hurt your spouse as a result of you trying to be right? You could still be right and be wrong.
Be wrong, right. Oh, yeah. You just put a post up just saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
So questions, comments, thoughts? No questions, comments, thoughts?
Hey.
Y'all quiet tonight.
That's a conversation. What y'all doing?
Right.
I need you to conversate.
Right. So, what else was it about the BS? And the BS can be anything, right? The BS can be as simple as the gender roles inside of your marriage.
Hey, oh man, yeah. It's like, this is like, you already see, right? As far as the way that our dynamics are set up.
He's the better cook, and I'm okay with that.
And guess what? hey.
I don't have to cook. And when I do, it is a burden. You know how they say cook with love? Well, guess what? Sis is not cooking with love. Sis is cooking with all kind of malice and strife and anger because she mad that she got to be in the kitchen cooking.
And listen, and I'm gonna tell you this. This is the thing, right? Because
and then people got the nerve not to eat it, so then we got all these leftovers left over.
Hey, see, this is the thing, right? I should have known that I was a better cook when she first cooked the dish. Hey. All she used was salt and pepper.
That's all I knew.
And it wasn't a steak.
That's all I knew. Growing up, my mother only used salt, pepper, and garlic salt. That was all I knew.
I should have known then. But that's what, again, so here I am. Now check this out.
It worked for me all those years, though. No.
But listen, so when we're talking about that whole gender thing, I ain't gonna lie, I lost a lot of weight. It was good when she was. It was good when she was cooking because you know what I'm saying. I was still trying to keep my physique, and it was good. But when you begin to look at that thing, I remember one time she was trying to cook. You remember I think you cooked spaghetti.
I don't know what it was.
It was something. She was like, "Be honest with me. Tell me how it tastes." I said, "I wouldn't feed this to my dog."
He was so trifling. I was like, okay, when they just starved to death, that's what you do.
Yeah.
Like, for real, you go eat you some ramen. Because you know, we be in our feelings trying to do the right thing, and yeah, no. So, but look at the conversation.
But we're going off of that belief system that was passed down. No, baby, the best way to a man's heart is through his stomach. Come on now. Yeah. But if you can't cook, you must ain't gonna get no man if you gonna go off of that belief system.
Yeah. Well, I already had a man at that point. It was
I'm talking about girl. Come on, man. I'm talking about the belief system.
You just wasn't eating well until we was going to church, or we was eating.
Hey, when the church mothers come in with the dishes.
Right. So yeah. And as a result of that, had we not shifted the dynamics and changed that, we probably would have been miserable for a really long time because
ain't nobody eating.
The belief system was the wife's gotta cook, the wife's gotta clean, she's gotta do all those different things. And I was just like, just wasn't meant to be that way for our particular space.
Yeah, and you wanna know the funny thing is because back when that stuff was being taught, it was being taught on a submission. So we have to understand really what submission is. And the submission, it says submit ye one to another. That's in Ephesians 5:20, if I'm not mistaken. It says submit ye one to another. So that means we submit to each other. Because when you go back and look at it, what God said, he said, I created man. He said, I created man in the Hebrew, which is ish. He said, and I created woman in the Hebrew, which is isha, meaning that you are equal, but according to the order of God. Now that's the difference. According to the order of God, that is where the man carries on the brunt, I guess I'll say.
I think too, though, that the time frames were different, right? That was when the wives were home and they were the housekeepers, right?
Not necessarily.
That was, I mean, if you think about growing up in that was when most of the times, like, that was birth, I think, from the woman being the homemaker, where she was home, and then as things started to evolve, and then we started to work and we started to do different things, then you have to look at the dynamics and the trajectory of what changes.
From if you're looking at it in the whole entire, because when you look at it, it was a black man that actually brought mac and cheese to the U.S. He was a chef. I forgot his name, but he was a chef cooking in the White House. So what I'm saying is that,
that was the job. What I'm saying is in an average household, what was taking place was the women were the homemakers.
I didn't hear you say average. My bad. My bad.
The women were the homemakers, so that was what was expected, because you at home, you're with the kids. So when the husband comes home for dinner or comes home from work, supper was to be prepared.
Yeah.
Right. That was the expectation. Well, as things have evolved and the dynamics are different,
that ain't it no more.
Right. It may not be that in everybody's household. So it's really important for you to now start to create, what does that blueprint look for your marriage, for your home, for what it is you do. Questions and comments. Yes. We got a live audience today, y'all. Yes.
So what if that dynamic still exists today? So what I mean by that is say I do work, my wife is a stay-at-home mom. Why would I not expect for her to have a cooked meal or to have made sure that the household is taken care of if I am the breadwinner? And it's not a matter of gender inequality. It's just a matter of this is dynamics in our home.
Right.
What are your thoughts on that?
Right.
So
That's really
can
good.
I tap it out real quick?
Wait a second. Let me know that you guys heard that with the thumbs up, so at least we know before we dig in to answer that. So so you heard it. Okay, great. You want to go ahead and tackle that one, man?
Yeah, let me hit that one. And so that's where it comes down to the dynamic, because if you're because like nowadays you have stay-at-home fathers. So it's like, and the wife is working. So my thing is, like, when you sit down and have that conversation and say, okay, listen, we got to be a team.
Right.
You may not be the best cook, but I don't mind you looking at the cooking show. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, for real, because if I'm outside, if I go out every day working, why can't I expect to come home to a home cooked meal, to a house clean? Because my thing is like, what you doing all day with the kid?
Right, and I think there's nothing wrong with having that expectation as long as it's communicated and you both have the same expectation.
Right.
Not when you have the expectation but it's unspoken, and then your wife has no idea, and now it's friction because you coming home trying to figure, well, I'm hungry. What's going on? And then she's like, well, I didn't realize. Right, and she's like, I didn't realize that, this is what you wanted. So as long as it's communicated, I think that's completely fine. But know what works for your dynamics. Like, so if that's the situation, then that's great. But for us, it just was not the makeup, because your girl was just using salt and pepper and garlic pepper. And it just didn't work. So we had to. And we were both working too. That was a different thing too.
Another question.
Go ahead.
Yes.
So maybe that becomes an expectation. I didn't say that the food necessarily had to be good.
You just said cook.
Right.
And I say that to say, like, okay, I may say, well, I kind of expect my wife to cook. And obviously, I have to be grateful that the mere fact that she's attempted to cook, knowing that she may or may not be the best cook. But then it becomes, I think that's where the conversation comes in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where that conversation is had to say, well, I know you're not the best cook. However, if you were able to do one or two things to improve that cooking experience,
Right.
and it's enjoyable. And I think, I would have to temper my expectations, knowing that maybe that's not something that you're really passionate about or good at.
Right.
So I can temper my expectations, but he or she also has to put some level of effort to say that, hey, I realize this is something that you may enjoy.
Right.
In terms of just having there's two things. In terms of having a meal prepared, and then having a meal prepared that is good in the sense of, hey, I'm getting what I want out of it in terms of the food being prepared kind of the way I would enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I think that's where that conversation is probably had.
Right.
But when you sit back, when you go back and look at this, right? Now, when you say that it wasn't good, so now we have to take it all the way back to the beginning, because now when you come to the altar, what is the altar? The altar is the place of sacrifice. So when you all have that understanding, okay, listen, all right, cool. So that means if I have to sacrifice my time so that I can be a better cook, or I have to sacrifice my wants, right? So I can be a better, whatever the case may be. That's when you begin to look at that sacrifice, because guess what? One thing about marriage is going to never be 50-50. I don't care how many times you try to look at it. It's two of y'all. It's going to always equal to 100. So it's going to be how much of your percentage you're going to be willing to sacrifice.
Right.
And that is that piece that a lot of us misunderstand, is because our belief system and how the belief system is set up.
And
because I'm not going to do that. You didn't X, Y, Z. Come on.
Well, and again, the belief system isn't a bad thing. And neither is the expectation. I think it's bad when it's not communicated. And so as long as it's communicated and you're having that dialogue, hey, listen, this is kind of what I would expect. So again, when we were early in our marriage, I wouldn't feed this to my dog. Okay, well then you figure out how you do it. Because the way that you have the conversation, the way that you unwrap it, okay, well, maybe this is kind of what I like to, maybe a little bit more than salt and pepper. Maybe add some oregano, maybe do this, maybe do that. Or what certain things are you able to do? Like going in with a conversation, because maybe there are certain things that she can learn to do. Maybe there are certain things that he can learn to do. Maybe you bridge the gap together. But it doesn't take place until you come together to have the conversation. And that's the thing. You have to have the conversation. I know there was a comment earlier too, or question earlier.
Oh, this was earlier. They were saying that their fiance can't cook either, so don't feel too bad.
Oh, see, my heart goes out to your fiance. She all right in my book. She is all right in my book. So yes. Yes.
Someone else said they're in the process of getting in the kitchen, that they love yours.
Oh, thank you. So yeah, no, and again, as long as you're having the conversation, because what happens is we can go throughout the process and be upset, right? Go home and be like, well, I know dinner's already is gonna be nasty. I might as well get something to eat before I go in. Or whatever. Like you start to do those, like reality is, right? Certain things take place, and when your spouse could be offended because, well, why did you stop? Because they have now been working on their craft to make it better for you, and because you stopped, you're not that hungry, knowing that you are preparing again to come home to what the food is going to be like. But in their mind, well, I've been working to perfect this craft. Now they're in their feelings because you didn't sit down and really just truly have a conversation. Okay, well, let me show you. Like in Eric's case, he knew how to cook. I knew how to cook too, but I just didn't use seasoning.
Hold on. But wait a minute.
There's a difference.
No, you gotta tell the truth.
There's a difference.
But hold on. No, you I
knew how to cook. I just didn't know how to season well.
Hey, so but did I because of how can I say it? Based off of my belief system, what did I do? Didn't I teach you how to cook?
You showed me how to use some additional seasoning.
Oh, stop. Okay, I feel. All right. I see you gonna roll like that. Okay.
I'm not gonna be petty tonight. Yes.
But then, but that was the thing though. But
and it
like,
got better.
it got better.
Right.
It got better,
and
then it started to taper off a little bit.
And that's how you bridge the gap as well. Like,
right.
So if you have something that you can do really well, then you submit to your wife, you submit to your husband. Hey, let me show you this.
Yeah.
And me not being my feelings because I know how to cook.
Because, hey, can you tell me one thing that marriage is going to always do? One thing that marriage is supposed to always do is build. You're always building.
Okay.
Even though it may seem like, oh man, but you're always building.
Right.
Somebody got funny because my mom
I'm moderating this, busting out laughing right now. She's trying to keep it together.
Someone said I'm getting skinny, but the dog is getting bigger.
I know the feeling. I know the feeling.
Hey, submit some grades. Because in my mind, as long as there's a restaurant, there is always going to be food to eat. Now, granted, you don't want to have to go out and pay money and eat every night, but there are opportunities where you can perfect some certain things. Right? Like there are certain things like side dishes I can do really, really well. Maybe not all main dishes, but side dishes, you just add a little salt and pepper, some garlic salt, some little garlic pepper, and like we're good. But there are some other dishes, may not be the case. Right? And so, and I'm okay with it. Like, I understand that. That's why last week when I said the shrimp and grits, I can do shrimp and grits. Like, that's my specialty. We're good.
Oh, yeah.
But anything beyond that, like, I can do salmon. Salmon is good. So you find the certain things that you can do really well, and then you do those until you can perfect something else.
Yeah.
But it starts with a conversation, not with an assumption.
Right. That's the key. It starts with a conversation and not an assumption. Because there's one thing that we do is that we assume so much. Well, no, just have a conversation.
Yeah, just have a conversation.
Just have a conversation. So hey, but like for real, that is like one of the things that we often come up against is we come up against our belief system that we have. And so then, therefore, now things turn to be kind of, how can I say, things begin to be a little different because that whatever you believe does not fit your dynamic.
Right.
And so and that's the thing you got to look at. It's like, no, because look at it. Like, man, look at this, right? When you look at your spouse, what is your spouse? Your spouse is your rib. A rib that comes in to do what? That rib that comes in to help you protect your lungs, your whole nine. Right. That whole thing. It's still an equal part of the body. Am I right?
Right.
And so then what does that means right there? Then that means is that what? You come to help and complete. So then therefore you have to recognize, what you have. You all got to recognize, okay, well, I'm better than this. It's just like she told me from the jump. Honey, I'm allergic to grass. Come to find out, she's really not. So I know I'm never gonna get no help.
I am allergic to grass.
Listen,
I'm allergic to outside. It had me looking like the grease monster coming back inside after being outside for a long time. So when he's out in the yard, I will bring the drinks. I will make sure that he's okay.
So I will
make sure that he's hydrated.
So I know that I am never.
I am the hydration manager.
So and it's because what we do, we had the conversation.
Right.
That was the key. We had the conversation.
Right. So yes. And that's all you have to do, right? And it's important to make sure that you have that conversation. The challenges happen when you don't have the conversation. So make sure that you set aside that time to do that, right? Never assume. Ooh, it's ready already?
Yeah, sure.
Because he the bomb tickety, y'all.
Y'all see that right now? Y'all see that right now? Right now.
It looks like this is that cheese?
Yep. Parmesan.
Oh. Ooh, that looks good, you guys. So so just make sure that you set aside that time to have the conversation, right? And that's really the biggest thing. So again, since dinner is done early on tonight, y'all know we got the game. Y'all never told us who you were going for, who you're rooting for, but that's cool. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. Make sure again that you go to renewmymarriage.com so that you can go ahead, meet us tonight inside of the group, 8:00 p.m. And yeah, we'll see you guys on Monday for a couple's prayer. And thank you guys so much for tuning in on tonight. We so appreciate you guys. So I'm your girl Tamika.
I'm your boy, Chef E-Rock aka Chef E-Rock aka Getting It Done in the Kitchen, aka feel me on that. There we go.
Okay, yeah, so all of that. So thank you guys so much for showing up. We appreciate you guys. And we will see you on Couples Prayer on see you tonight or Monday morning Couples Prayer. And then don't forget to go to marriagetakeover.com/retreat so that you can go ahead and register for the retreat in February. You guys have an amazing night, and we will see you guys next time. All right?
Holla.
Ooh, ooh, ooh. That's good stuff, Vix.